So, what are some of the ways that we can prevent our kids struggling so deeply? I mean, assuming that, I don't know what we're assuming here, but what are some ways we can prevent it?
There are a lot. And what's amazing is that 95% of them are absolutely free. And all the research that talks about preventative measures for at risk behavior for when your kid hits 12, and boy, is that a magical age. But when 12-year-old comes, have you put things in place so that we can end up in an experience more likened to what you're talking about, where you do still have leverage with your emotions, that when something makes you sad, your teenager is going, whoa, I affect this world. My self-concept and my attitude vibrates outward like a pebble in a pond and is radiating to my whole family. There are ways to set that up. And it's why I think it's so important to talk to your listeners about prevention, because it is my sincere hope that none of them ever have to meet me. My entire process, my entire work, now that I have this wonderful facility, this amazing staff, and this podcast to help educate parents who are dealing with teens that struggle, is to now prevent someone ever needing to listen to my podcast or call my facility. And so the absolute number one is self-care. It is the absolute number one preventative measure, because it is teaching your child. Okay, let's set aside all the personal benefits of self-care being your priority, that you feel better, that you have self-concept that is increasing self-esteem and self-worth, right? That your concept of self is that you love it and you're going to take care of it. The benefits of that, you just being healthy and having long life and dealing with illness and sickness and emotional stress in such a way that reflects what someone who takes care of themselves. But then the second thing is to then tend to your adult relationships. You see, we have to put children third. If I don't have a support team.
Aaron, hold on. You said put aside the idea that of all the benefits to yourself. What are the benefits to our kids?
Yeah, that they're watching you prioritize health. And that's the modeling that they're going to grow up with, is that my health is a priority. My self-care is a priority. And I thank you for bringing me back to that, because I would have ADHD'd right past it. But I am watching my daughter go through a struggle in her life that is something that daddy can't come. She's 25. She's about to turn 26. I can't come in for the swoop. This is not for the rescue now. And I watch both my daughter, who's 25, and my son, who's 24. When life gets tough, they immediately go to movement. My son is like, I got to go skateboarding. My daughter says, I got to hit the gym and I'm going to go to therapy. And that's what my wife and I modeled, was self-care. Now, the second, the second thing we modeled is adult relationships. That you have a partner, you have a parenting partner, a spouse, a support group of other adults that you can take your huge things and turn around and walk into this room and go, God, and have that massive emotional overwhelm venting session, not with your kids. But then when you can turn around and you can come back to your kids because you've tended to your adult relationships, these people who can go, wow, that was huge energy. How you doing now? Here's some strategies I saw. Here's some of this. And here's something I tried. And then you're working this out with the adults and you go back to the kids. And of course you can express the emotion. Oh my God, I was so scared and I was so angry. And so I really had to go to my support group and really talk about what that was like when you did that thing. And I came back with some strategies, and I'd like to talk to them about, talk with you about them on Thursday or Friday, which day works with you. And I can deliver that connection before correction. I can deliver alliance before compliance, that I am making sure I am connected to my children before I go in and try to correct anything. And then third, then I prioritize what's going on with my children. So take care of yourself first, your adult relationship second, and your children third, because that's how you're going to do your best work with your children. Those things are free. The next thing, and this is something that Stanford, Harvard, anybody who has any sense to them will understand why this free thing will prevent child at-risk behavior. Family dinner. It is something that has been proven time and time again, that time of connecting, that time of not talking about work and homework or arguing, no screens. And I mean that not for the children, I mean for the whole family. No screens. Put them down, put them away. Look each other in the eye, start having the conversation. No screens, no TV in the background. You want to play music? Great. Stimulates a different part of the brain. Play nice jazz music, have dinner night where each kid gets to decide which music we are listening to for dinner. And then you get to talk about, that's a new subject. Get a box of table topic cards off from Amazon. I make nothing by promoting them, and I have every single set. And the kids up at our facility use table topics. And it's just a box full of questions, and you just talk. So that's the strategy, family dinner. The next thing is knowing your children's friends' parents. Got to know your community. You got to know the parents of the kids that your kid is hanging out with. Get to know them. Set up a coffee date, even if it's on Zoom because we're in a pandemic. But when it's not, set up a coffee date. Get to know them. Check your values. Check their values. Talk about how you can align to co-parent and parent like a community again. Third thing, something for your kid to do between 3 o'clock and 7 o'clock. There's too much screen time. We know this. We don't have to be belligerent and beleaguer this point. We know there's too much time spent on screens. So if we're going to avoid that, something for your child to do between 3 o'clock and 7 o'clock, between school and dinner.
Now, talking to a good friend of mine, John Duffy, who's a teen expert, he talks, and I think this is an interesting shift that happens, like in mindful parenting. We talk about sort of simplifying and kind of reducing our schedules, like simplifying our schedules is kind of, but then and for little kids, little kids really need that free play time. They really need that unstructured time. But as teens, they really need that structure, right? Like that's what we're moving into in my own family, is like that my daughter's 11, right? Like we need those structured activities are really the things that provide, because, as teens, their brains are pretty chaotic, right? So this is when they kind of need some structure. Would you agree?
And I absolutely. And again, it starts around 12 years old where and it doesn't matter whether they're playing Magic the Gathering or they're playing sports. That is irrelevant. What is relevant is that they're in community. See, part of the connection piece of the need is that children have to develop. The seventh one is the real education, the real honest to God education about mental health and about how drugs and alcohol and cigarettes affect brain development. And that doesn't always have to be on the parents, but we can't rely on schools to provide. But dare to say no. The program when we were kids, that didn't work because they tried scare tactics. The scared straight model has failed.
Oh yeah, completely. Because I remember it would say your brain is going to turn into scrambled eggs. And then I watched my friends and their brains did not turn into scrambled eggs. And they did not turn into like people on the street from smoking pot a couple times. Right. And I was like, okay, well, that's BS. I remember thinking that.
So understanding the true science as a parent behind it, so when your young teen brings you all the reasons why marijuana is not addictive, that you understand what THC actually, which neurotransmitter, and it's actually a neuromodulator that it copies in the brain. Like this is, well, it's not addictive. I can tell you as an addict that I acted like a junkie around marijuana. I don't care whether marijuana is addictive. I know what THC does to a developing brain and what it does to an adult brain. And you have to really know the real science behind it, not just the hype on either side. It does not turn your brain to scrambled eggs, but it is absolutely not harmless. You need to know the truth.
Catch new episodes of the Mindful Mama podcast and other free resources, including the Mindful Mom Guide at mindfulmamamentor.com. You can listen to every back catalog episode, including interviews with Dr. Dan Siegel, Ianla Van Zant, Sharon Salzberg, and get meditations, join our private Facebook group, and more. Go to mindfulmamamentor.com now. I'll see you there.